Welcome to the Formula Bone F1 Show's 2022 Italian Grand Prix preview. I'm Jared Borislow, but you can call me J-Bone. Let's get into it, folks. J-Bone! Our first order of business today is getting to know the Italian Grand Prix and its circuit, Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, better known as just Monza. The Italian Grand Prix was first run as a Formula One World Championship event back in Formula One's first ever season, the 1950 season, making it one of the 7 original Formula One Grand Prix. The 1950 Italian Grand Prix, held at Monza, was the final race of the 1950 F1 season and the race at which driver Giuseppe Farina secured the inaugural Formula One World Drivers' Championship title. Farina's constructor, Alfa Romeo, would have also won the 1950 World Constructors' Championship as they absolutely destroyed the competition that year, except the World Constructors' Championship was not a thing until the 1958 Formula One season, so I guess they just got like a pat on the back or something. Similar to how the Italian Grand Prix closed out the 1950 Formula One season, the 2022 Italian Grand Prix is also the last of the 1950 season Grand Prix still on the calendar to be run this season, so soak up the history while you still can, folks. Here are 3 Italian Grand Prix fun facts. Fact 1, the Italian Grand Prix is one of just 2 Formula One Grand Prix that has been included on every single Formula One calendar without ever missing a season. The other Grand Prix being the British Grand Prix. Fact 2, Monza's nickname is the Temple of Speed because it is the fastest circuit on the Formula One calendar. 80% of a lap around Monza is taken at full throttle, and when it comes to average top speed, the fastest ever F1 qualifying lap and fastest ever F1 race both took place at Monza during Italian Grand Prix weekends. This circuit is fast, folks. Very fast. And fact 3, the 2006 Italian Grand Prix was won by Ferrari's Michael Schumacher to much tifosi celebration. And at the race's post-race press conference is where Schumacher announced his retirement from Formula One for the first time. He would later return to Formula One in 2010 to race for Mercedes for 3 seasons before retiring for the second time. Let's move on to discussing the circuit itself. Autodromo Nazionale di Monza in Monza, Italy is 5.793 kilometers or 3.6 miles in length, and the Italian Grand Prix will be contested over the course of 53 laps around its 11 turns. If you have not gathered by now, Monza has some pretty insane history. Its story begins all the way back in 1922 when it became only the 3rd purpose-built motorsport racetrack ever built in the world, behind just Brooklands in England and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the United States. When you include Grand Prix from before Formula One came into existence, the Italian Grand Prix is the most run Grand Prix in the world, with this weekend's race marking the 92nd edition, and of those 92 runnings, an incredible 87 were held at Monza. Monza has also hosted every Formula One Italian Grand Prix minus 1, the 1980 Italian Grand Prix, which was held at Imola while Monza was being renovated. And speaking of Monza renovations, the circuit has changed up its appearance quite a bit over the years, with 8 different Monza circuit layouts having played host to at least one Formula One Italian Grand Prix. The most famous and infamous Monza layout to host a Formula One Italian Grand Prix is definitely the 3rd variation, which was a full 10 kilometers or 6.2 miles in length, and included the entirety of the Monza Oval with its insane 30-degree banking. This layout was used for the 1955, 1956, 1960, and 1961 Italian Grand Prix, the last of which, the 1961 Italian Grand Prix, was one of the darkest days in Formula One's history, and the reason this circuit layout has been retired ever since. On the second lap of the 1961 Italian Grand Prix, championship leader and pole sitter Wolfgang von Trips of Ferrari was involved in a collision on the run-up to the Parabolica curve that took his life, as well as the lives of 15 spectators. Even though the banked section was not involved in this crash, in the name of a safer sport moving forwards, Formula One decided they would never race on it again. For tire compounds at the 2022 Italian Grand Prix, Pirelli have opted for the neutral compound range, the C2 hards, C3 mediums, and C4 softs. Pirelli Motorsport Director Mario Isola had this to say about their choice. Quote, "It's a big event for us as we enjoy our 150-year anniversary at home, where Monza also celebrates its first century. So we are looking forward to a big festival of motorsport in Italy, which we can rightly feel very proud of as we equip the most sophisticated and efficient cars in Formula One history with 18-inch tires. Monza is well known for its high speeds and some fast corners where it's important to have a car with perfect balance. This year's tires should lead to less overheating at the rear on a track where the cars run low downforce and often use slipstreaming to gain a tow. With no sprint race in Monza this year, the teams will head into the Grand Prix with a bit less information than last time, which means that the strategic approach will be somewhat different." End quote. This episode of the Formula Bone F1 Show is sponsored by Wondery's new Formula One podcast, Fast and Loose F1. If you are listening to me talk right now, you're obviously a big Formula One fan, so listen up. I have an awesome F1 podcast recommendation for you, and that's Wondery's new podcast, Fast and Loose F1, hosted by Will Arnett. Will Arnett is one of my favorite actors and comedians of all time. Shouts to Job Bluth. And when I heard he was doing an F1 podcast with two-time world champion Mika Hakkinen, aka The Flying Finn, I knew I had to give it a listen, and folks, it does not disappoint. On Fast and Loose F1, you'll hear from the top drivers, managers, and team owners to get inside access into the high-stakes drama of the chase to win the world's greatest racing competition. I highly recommend you give this show a listen because I think it'd make a great addition to any Formula One fans' F1 content lineup. Listen to Fast and Loose F1 on Amazon Music or wherever you get your podcasts, or listen ad-free by subscribing to Wondery Plus in the Wondery app. There's a link to listen to Fast and Loose F1 in the description of this episode. Next up, here are your storylines to follow for the 2022 Italian Grand Prix. The first storyline, how will Ferrari perform at their home Grand Prix? At the beginning of the season, when Ferrari made that red-hot start, pun intended, it's entirely possible that the Tifosi had deluded themselves into thinking that Ferrari would somehow be able to clinch both the World Drivers' and Constructors' Championships at Monza. Obviously, things have not played out that way, nor anywhere close to it, as Ferrari enter Monza with Charles Leclerc tied for P2 in the World Drivers' Championship with Checo, and the team desperately clinging on to their P2 in the World Constructors' Championship for dear life, with Mercedes hot on their tail. But as we all know, Ferrari is not a team, it's a religion. So I have no doubt we are going to see incredible scenes of Ferrari fandom all weekend long as Ferrari try to figure things out on track and bring home their first home Grand Prix victory since Charles Leclerc won the 2019 Italian Grand Prix. Ferrari won't just be celebrating their home Grand Prix this weekend, they're also officially celebrating their 75th anniversary with a special yellow accented livery, yellow driver suits that make the handsome Charlies look like human bananas, as well as more yellow things that you'll see. Because a top team using a special livery at their home Grand Prix never went poorly for anyone, right? Mercedes at the 2019 German Grand Prix. Sorry, got some schnitzel stuck in my throat there. The second storyline, will Max Verstappen extend his 2022 Grand Prix winning streak to 5 at the Italian Grand Prix? If you are a Max hater, This has been truly a season to forget for you, as Max is absolutely dominating the 2022 F1 season. So much so that he could clinch the World Drivers' Championship even before the United States Grand Prix. I will say that as someone who will be attending the United States Grand Prix, I really hope he clinches the World Drivers' Championship at that race so that I can witness some F1 history. Come on. Come on, Max. Monza is arguably the 2022 circuit most suited to Red Bull's 2022 car. So this is definitely Max's race to lose, and I think there's a very good shot he makes it 5 wins in a row this weekend. The final storyline, will Nicholas Latifi finish in the points for the first time this season at the Italian Grand Prix? Nicholas Latifi has only ever earned 1 point in his Formula One career that began at the start of the 2020 season. And interestingly enough, that 1 point came at last year's rain-shortened Belgian Grand Prix, where Latifi finished P9 and was awarded half of 2 points, which equals 1 point. If there is any circuit at which Latifi has a shot at finishing in the points for the first time this season and earning points from a full race for the first time in his Formula One career, it's Monza. I say this because while the Williams is a pretty lackluster car overall, it is solid in a straight line, and straight line speed plays a very large role in a lap around Monza, the fastest circuit on the F1 calendar. I would love to see Latifi finish in the points on Sunday, so good luck, Nicholas. We're all rooting for you. No one has a business like yours with all its strengths and challenges. To succeed, you need a hiring partner that adapts to your needs. You need this episode's sponsor, Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's a powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. Find great talent faster through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. With Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed Data US. One of the things I love about Indeed, and one of the reasons we'll be using it for our next hire here at Bolen Media, is that it makes hiring all in one place so easy because they have such an amazing talent pool. In fact, 3 out of 4 U.S. online job seekers search for jobs on Indeed each month, according to ComScore. Join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/FBone. Folks, offer good for a limited time. This is an amazing deal because when you sponsor an Indeed post in the U.S., you're 3 times more likely to get a hire, according to Indeed data. So claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/FBone. Indeed.com/FBone. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. There's a link for that deal in the description of this episode. Next up, here are my 3 Bone-afide race predictions for the 2022 Italian Grand Prix that I am about to go 3 for 3 on. Bone-afide prediction number 1, Max Verstappen will win the Italian Grand Prix. Monza is the fastest circuit on the calendar, and Max Verstappen is currently the fastest driver on the grid with the fastest car on the grid, so this one is a no-brainer. Max has won the past 4 races, all at circuits which suit the Red Bull worse than Monza does, so I expect some further MV1 dominance in Italy this weekend. Bonafide prediction number 2, Checo Perez will finish on the podium at the Italian Grand Prix. I'm just all in on the Red Bull car this weekend. Monza is almost tailor-made for the RB18, so I think not only does Max finish P1, but his teammate Checo finishes right there to his right or left, and Red Bull get another double podium finish. And bonafide prediction number 3, Alex Albon will finish in the points at the Italian Grand Prix. Williams' Alex Albon has scored all his team's points this season, which have come on just 3 different occasions. He finished P10 in Belgium and Australia, with the latter featuring the inarguable tire stint of the season. And Alex Albon also finished P9 in Miami, his best result of the season. If there is one thing the Williams car is decent at this season, and there might only be one thing, it's straight line speed, as we saw in Belgium when Albon and Latifi were the fastest in practice through Spa's high-speed Sector 1. So it stands to reason that Monza, the fastest circuit on the calendar, should be the racetrack that suits the Williams car the best, which is why I think Alex Albon will finish in the points this weekend for just the 4th time this season. Those were J-Bone's Bone-afide race predictions. Now I want to hear your Bone-afide race predictions. Let me see them in the YouTube comment section of this episode. And speaking of YouTube, I'm also trying to get 1,500 likes on this video episode. If you can do J-Bone a solid and toss this video a like. J-Bone! And finally here today, I'm going to now give my Bone-afide pre-race weekend predictions for the top 5 finishers in Sunday's Italian Grand Prix with zero reasoning or explanation. P5, George Russell. P4, Charles Leclerc. P3, Lewis Hamilton. P2, Checo Perez. And P1, Max Verstappen. That's it for today's episode of the Formula Bone F1 show. If you enjoyed the show and want to help me out, I'd really appreciate it if you could toss me a comment, like, subscription, rating, review, or any other form of engagement on whatever platform you're on right now, so that said platform and its algorithm, like J-Bone more. I respond to a lot of YouTube comments, so leave one and I might respond to it. Speaking of YouTube, join the Noti Gang. Get those Formula Bone notifications. And if you don't want to join the Noti Gang, again, just toss this video a like. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. For Formula One updates between now and my Italian Grand Prix recap episode, you can join over 700 members of the Bone Brigade in the Formula Bone Discord server via the invite link in the description of this episode. You can also follow me on all social media at Formula Bone or at my real name, Jared Borislow. That's at JaredBorislow. Until next time, folks, J-Bone!